Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast, all the stuff we did not get to during the course of the show today. Charlie Kirk, the news of that is going to dominate this Aftercast. And if you're somebody that did not agree with what he said or anything, you're probably not going to like this. But hopefully we can make some common ground here as we talk about what happened, why, things that are going wrong, and the place that we've gotten to as a society where opinion can get you killed. And it's so sad. It should never, ever come to that. I heard somebody talk about the difference between conservatives and liberals is that a conservative will hate your opinion, a liberal will hate you for your opinion, and I'm like, I kind of identify with that. I kind of agree with that because Charlie Kirk was so good at having an argument with somebody, a debate, but not devolving into name calling and bashing them as a person. He always had this level of respect because he liked the back and forth. He liked the debate. I think the debate is good. When we stop debating or we're fearful to have debates, that's when we get into a really, really messed up situation. And so, if you're like, what's the Charlie Kirk situation? Political commentator, started a kind of an activist group to inspire young people on college campuses to be more involved. And he's a right-wing Christian guy, conservative, and he was shot while at an event in Salt Lake City. And there's so many things to this. Ironically, he was answering a question about mass shooters when he was shot, which is super, super
horrible.
Bizarre.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was really weird. There were only 6 university officers working the event, a couple plainclothes guys in the crowd, and then his security team. And he'd gotten threats and weird things before.
And he even said he did.
Yeah, so that's not anything new. But when Betty and I were talking about this off the air, because we've already talked a little bit about it on the radio show. If you listen to the regular podcast, you can hear kind of the less deep part of this. But you had made a point about his wife, and I thought, that's an interesting perspective from a woman.
Yeah. Of course, I thought about her, and it has to be gut-wrenching that you have 2 young children that won't ever remember their father unless you tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to believe that she knew this was possible. He knew this was possible because he put himself in a line of work where he even said he got multiple death threats, things sent to their home.
Yeah.
So they knew that this was possible. She must have known when she married him, there's a possibility that someone is going to kill my husband. And they had to have that conversation that what do we do? If that does happen,
right.
Do we have everything in order? What do you want for the kids? Things like that. They had to put those things in order, I would think. And if they didn't, but you think about too, I wonder if this woman, and I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, his wife,
Emily.
But I wonder because I said if I were in her shoes, I would be mad. I would be mad
right.
if I were her, because I have 2 young children and you left me alone with these 2 young kids, and now I'm going to have to raise them alone because you. And this is not, when I say this, potties, don't say that this is how I am viewing it. I'm trying to think in her headspace of would she be saying, I'm sorry. I
misspoke. Her name's Erica, not Emily.
Okay, sorry, that's distracting me. Let me get back. I think I would be angry and I would say, did you choose the country, your politics, your opinions over our family?
Right.
And that would disappoint me. However,
right.
She knew what she was getting into. That's all.
And that's the thing is, when you start something small like they started, and it's kind of theory, we're going to rub some people the wrong way. But there's this weird thing that, especially for guys, you're like, we're just bantering. It is what it is. You take it less seriously than a real actual threat kind of thing. And it's plausible, but you're like, all right, it's somebody just being dumb. And you write it off.
However, if death threats, he said packages were sent to their home and stuff. I would feel like you're putting our family in danger because of what you believe in, and that would make me angry. Right. And I'm not saying that's what she's thinking, and I'm not saying that's what she should be thinking. It could be that she stood with him no matter what, and she believed in what he believed in, but I think I would be angry if I were her.
Yeah, like I think it escalated to a point where it probably was like, oh yeah, this is really serious. But then I would have had a lot more security around me if he really felt it was serious, kind of thing. But from a woman's perspective, I 100% get that. Like, this is your job, but now you're doing stuff that is going to put you in harm's way. Is that more important than your family? Mm-hmm. And like you look at soldiers and things like that, and they're like, the answer is yes. This is more important. Freedom is more important. I think if you would ask him, he would be like, yeah, this changing and standing for what we believe in is vital. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked him one time, like, if he were to die, what would he want his legacy to be?
How would you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing.
Yeah. I mean, and so like he's like standing as a believer, and that he wasn't afraid, and he stood up for what he believed in, and so, but that doesn't comfort a widow, that's the hard part. Like my wife would feel like you felt too. My wife would be like, was it worth it?
And I would say no, because she probably got a call from President Trump. But what's that with you? I mean, kids aren't going to care. Yeah. They want their dad. You want your husband.
Yeah, I know, and I actually agree with that, because I've been on the other side of that. Like, I've had death threats and stuff before, and I've had people like threaten me and threaten the buildings I've worked in and send stuff to my house. And so I've been through this a little bit, not to that degree, obviously. But my wife would always answer, it's not worth it. And I would always just assuade her and be like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. It's just a knucklehead. It's fine. We're good, And then I would go do what I was put here to do.
But this could have easily been you back then.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think Marty would have been angry.
Oh, 100%, because it would not have been worth it to her. That's kind of the difference, I think, sometimes between men and women, or between people that have what they feel is a calling to do something. And I feel like he had that. He probably felt like it was a calling to do this and to change the world.
Yeah, changing the world. Like, do you think that, like, in the moment, obviously you're not going to react in like he, died doing what he loves. But do you think, like, over time you could develop that opinion?
Yes.
It's like,
especially too if they had personal conversations where he said, "I know that this might scare you,
right?
But I also know that this is what God has called me to do." And she was a believer as well, so she could be angry at God.
Sure,
she could be saying, "Why did you call him to this and give him such a talent for debate, and then allow him to die and leave me alone?" Like, those are questions we don't have answers to, and my heart goes out to her.
Yeah, because like I think Trump said like he was a martyr, and he's doing the flags at half staff, and there are a lot of people that would definitely agree with that, and that his legacy could be even bigger because of him being murdered, and that happens, and it's sad to me. I mean, this is really sad to me, because as somebody who lives for what I do, the thought of being taken away from my family and having them have to deal with the repercussions because of my career is I understand that now more fully than ever. When I was younger, I didn't. When I was younger, 31, I would have been like, it's fine, don't worry about it, it's good, and I would have done it. Now, 57, it's like, this isn't worth it.
Yeah. And two, I read a little bit about the security that he had at these tours that he did on college campuses. And what's so awesome about it is that he wanted to be approachable, and he feared that if he had too much police or security there, that I guess college students would have a harder time approaching him, or say, you're putting up a wall, you're not being approachable. Right. And he wanted to be approachable. And it changed, I believe, a lot of minds on the college campuses around the country. And I'm sure he had a huge impact in helping Trump get back to office.
Oh, yeah.
But to be approachable, it's you got to weigh him out, because if you are approachable, like he wanted his tour to be, he was also a sitting duck. I'm kind of surprised that it took this long for this to happen, sadly. But then he could have had more security, more surveillance, and then maybe he wouldn't have gotten the kids there that he wanted to change their minds for. I don't know. I always think about, like, you could have done it online. What's stopping you from doing a lot? Like, that's safe.
But
I don't know.
that's what makes it different. The whole thing that makes it different is that he is in there with you, sitting with you. That's what makes like radio different from TV. You can call and be a part of it, you know, and it's accessible. I respect him wanting it to be accessible 100%. It was interesting, like Trump, when he announced that Charlie Kirk was murdered, he talked about how conservatives like Charlie get compared to Nazis and fascists, and it's always the go-to. But then he would pick people apart, like when they would say this to him, or you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, and he would be like, okay, like being told that is infuriating. But he would sit there and systematically make people defend what they were saying, and then they couldn't, and then they would get frustrated and leave. Or some of them would actually. My favorites were the ones that were like, like you saw it sink in, and they're like, I've just bought a bunch of rhetoric that I don't even know what I'm saying.
But to me, I think it's sad that we've lost. Life is a gift. Humans, it's not meant for us to take life away. That is all to God. And if they don't agree with you on your politics, on your opinions, we've lost the respect of life.
Well, when you can't, in a marriage, say, communicate anymore, it's done.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in politics. When you cannot communicate anymore, we're done. You know, there was one representative that I liked what he was saying. I can't remember who it was, but he was like, you know what, for far too long we've pretended, you know, we have these type of shootings or what have you, or these, you know, people that are murdered, and we stand here and we hold hands and we say we've got to do better across the aisle. But the truth is we don't do better. It happened like they were going to do a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk at the Capitol. And one of the Republicans was like, well, and you know, we like to actually, instead of a moment of silence, actually pray. And then Democrats were like, no, you can't do it. And so then it devolved into this argument, you know, again, over like honoring someone that was literally just murdered. We cannot even agree fundamentally how wrong that is. Like, that is what is really, really sad to me, is that there should be no gray area in this, regardless of your political affiliation. There should be zero gray area and zero celebration. But the internet is going nuts. There are people that disagree with him. This is my thing with the internet. I am so frustrated and angered, and I have to maintain and watch my own vitriol in this, is that you see these people that didn't like him, and so they're getting on there and they're like, you know, get what you get and things like that. They're never saying his name, and they're just alluding to it because they don't want to get either banned or they don't want people coming after them because the internet does what the internet does. Like there's one lady on there, people that had, you know, said things. She's compiling their list, their handles, and is putting it out there, which I'm like, all right, good for you. But like, I have zero respect for the cowards that won't do what he would do. He would go and he would debate you, and he would stand there and look you in the eye and debate you. And these people are like, so you want to celebrate a man being killed, and then you want to hide still behind the anonymity of it. That is spineless. At least have the wherewithal, at least have the integrity and the respect to say what you're going to say and don't mince words. But they're not doing that. You know, it is heartbreaking to see this. Charlie Kirk, in his own words recently, he said, you know, you're putting your safety and possibility, your life in you're putting your life in danger of being a conservative on a college campus. And people thought, oh, he's being, you know, dramatic.
I didn't.
Well, he's not. I mean, he lived that out. You know, like his life was taken on a college campus for daring to have an opinion that was different than the like extreme liberal left.
It's going to be interesting to see how other people that are just like him, that do these college tours and stuff, how they're going to change things.
Because he did it the best.
Ben
like,
Shapiro,
no one's doing it as good as him.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro did some of it. Candace Owens, she was with Charlie for a little while.
Oh, yeah, she did, yeah.
And she's one that I worry about, too. I follow her podcast, and she lives in Franklin, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I have a really close friend of mine that on Saturdays, she's always at the same place and always seeing Candace there. It's like she never has any kind of, or that we know of, security around her.
Yeah.
And she has very loud opinions that are very diversive. But she also said on her story, which I'm going to be interested to see how it plays out. So she was good friends with Charlie Kirk, and so she's taking this one personal.
Yeah, her batting average of investigation is pretty good.
You do not want to get under her
magnifying glass.
Yeah, you don't want to do it. So she got on her stories on Instagram and Facebook, and she said, hey, if you were at the get-together, the tour, the show, and you saw anything, I'm looking for tips. You can email me at my email address. And she said that she later got an email from some students at the, where was it? Utah,
yeah.
Utah University.
UVU, I think.
Yeah, and they sent her photos of someone walking around the food court, and they were unable to identify him. Now, this was all put together, and then I saw recently on the news that the FBI has found a gun, and that they have video footage of someone walking up the stairs in all black and tactile clothing or something. I don't know. But
tactical.
Whatever.
Tactile, I mean, it feels good.
Whatever. So then on top of that, this is why you don't want to get on her bad side. So she found out that there was a private jet that took off at an airport just 5 miles from the Utah University, UVU, okay? This airport is 5 miles away. She has the tail number of the private jet so she can track the owner. And she said it left an hour after the shooting, okay? She found out that private jet, it's ADS-B transponder, which I didn't know what that was. It's a required system for broadcasting position and altitude of a plane. But this private jet turned it off for 30 minutes. And that's illegal.
Right.
But then the jet reappeared and headed back to the Utah airport that it took off from.
So it drops
approximately an hour later.
Drops something or someone off.
Well, that's what she's hypothesizing
Yeah.
or she's putting out there. And if that's true, because Wally and I were talking about this, there's a very small window where this person could have shot Charlie.
This
person had, and it wasn't like you said, it wasn't like a pop off where it was just like shots everywhere.
Right.
It was one.
And
it was done.
Yeah.
And so this person knew what they were doing,
Yeah.
sadly. I think it's going to be interesting to see now, is Candace onto something?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough because you don't want to speculate, but like when I watched a bunch of the videos and I was surprised at how graphic they
And
are
it's
and
out
weren't
there.
they weren't pulled.
They didn't blur anything.
Yeah.
Like you can see it's
bad.
terrible.
Yeah, it's bad. But when I know enough about shooting, that I'm like, that was a shot. Like you talk about like having a good shot. Like I like to target shoot and I like to keep my groupings tight and things like that. And this was, they say 100 plus yards away. So you've got windage, you've got bullet fall, and you've got an area of about 6 inches probably that he made this shot. And it was one. It's like most times these shooters, like they're just shooting at everything. This was not someone that was shooting at anyone else other than Charlie. And it was one, done, and he's gone. Like like I'm going to go down Candace's rabbit hole for a split second. That feels super, super professional. Now, could it be someone that's really good and they go to the range and they train? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think Candace is making the point that it was funded and like maybe, some wealthy person wanted this to happen, which would be beyond sad to me. And then they turn off the responder and they get somebody out and then they come back and reappear. If that is the true story of this, that is next level horrible. I don't want to put out theories that aren't even remotely substantiated. I'm just speculating, but I don't think that's it. I think that's probably some weird coincidence, and I hope it is. But it'll be I'll be interested to see if they find this guy. like, and how quickly
Gosh, I
they
hope
find
they
him.
do.
But you're like, they left a gun behind, you know, and that's like, I'm gone. You know, you don't need it anymore. It's not traceable to you. Like, that's someone just getting away. Like, it's fascinating
It's just so sad
to me. And yeah, there's no good in this, man. Like, a lot of times when you see these shootings, you'll see people covering up people and helping people. And there's a little bit of that in this one. But this was one, and it was so fast and it was done. You know, like sometimes you point to those good things and those heroes in that moment. And this one just has so much sad and heavy to it. And so I'm curious to see how this is going to go for sure. But I am well, it was weird too. I went to ChatGPT and I was asking it a question about this and trying to formulate something. And it was so weird because this was this morning, but all of the news has been in since last night. But ChatGPT, I asked about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It said, no credible sources have him assassinated. He is alive. And you're like, ChatGPT, you've got like, so just another instance of how we like look at technology and chat and the internet, and we think, oh, it's right. It's always right.
Yeah.
Like, this is wrong. But like, there might be people that believe it, and that's how conspiracy theories get, started.
It's people that spend too much time on the internet, and they're getting an algorithm that is made just for them, and it's telling them what they want to hear, what they want to see, and they think everybody sees it that way. And so they don't have friends or family that they can confide in. What I was thinking the other day, we had that school shooting at that Catholic church.
Yeah.
They were in
mass.
Yeah, and praying. And I don't remember, maybe 2 kids died, I believe. But no, that wasn't that one. There was another one that they were talking about on the news where the kid got called out. Like, he had posted videos. He had let friends know.
Oh, the one they stopped.
Yeah, and they found he was 13 and he had an arsenal full of guns and he was posting stuff and he was all about school shootings and stuff. But I wish that they would, and maybe they can't for his own safety, but I want to know about that kid that told on him, because that is a hero there that actually stopped and said something to someone, because who knows how many lives they saved just by calling out this person. Well, you hear that so many times where the shooter, they go back and they're like, he had videos on YouTube talking about what he was going to do.
And then you're like, you saw it coming. Well, there was, sadly, we're talking about the Charlie Kirk thing, but then there was another school shooting in Colorado where 3 kids were hurt and the shooter turned the gun on himself, shot kids with a revolver. And you're like, that all happened. All of these things coincided. And so, again, this is where it all gets politicized, and it will be like gun control, gun control, gun control. And look, I'm not an opponent of smart gun laws. I think we should have them. Absolutely, I think we should have those. But what they are remains to be seen. No one's really come up with a foolproof plan because a lot of it is the stuff that happens before someone even gets to that point of buying a gun. But that's the craziest thing of this is Charlie Kirk was a Second Amendment guy. Like, he was completely like, hey, you should have the right to bear arms. And one of the quotes that they are putting out from the other side was about him saying something about, like, there will be more school shootings, but it's a sad necessity of protecting the, right to bear arms, the Second Amendment, and not changing the Constitution and stuff. And so people are pointing at that, going, you get what you get. Mess around, play stupid games, win stupid prizes kind of thing.
That's terrible.
And so, that I think is the irony in this one, is that somebody who, unless it was some weird professional thing, but I have a feeling it's an ideological thing. And so somebody chose to take him out with a gun that theoretically they would be super opposed to from a liberal standpoint, And you're like, is that irony in their point? Or are they making a point of going, well, look, you wanted this, you got it kind of thing. So, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think we all try to figure out things and we all speculate and have opinions and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I think, Betty, you are right in that there is a wife and mom that doesn't know what she's going to do today and probably has anger and a million questions, is rethinking everything. Why did we do this event? You know, we weren't going to do this one, or whatever might have been going on in their lives, you know, or what if we had just done this and it doesn't bring him back,
Right.
you know, and the senselessness of it, it doesn't bring him back, and it was pointless because did it change anything? You know, did you change anybody's mind today? You know, I don't think so. You just made people madder, you know, at this, and divided people more.
What I hope is that he didn't know what happened. You know, like I know that
So fast.
I know that he was still conscious when he was hit, but I'm hoping that he thought it wasn't as big as it was or something, and then like he just I don't know.
I mean,
I
none
hope
of
he
us
didn't
know.
have time to think about what was happening.
None of us know, because if I was guessing, it would be your brain goes, what was that? Like, you don't even know. You don't even.
If it's that quick.
Yeah, and then it's lights out, you know. Like, unlike that poor girl that was stabbed on the subway 9-10 times or whatever, she had time to process what had just happened, and then she died. I mean,
And everyone sat there and looked at her.
Oh, it breaks my heart, man. Like, like there's so much violence in this world that is senseless, and there's no reason for it, but we keep replicating.
I think you can hear all of this and feel hopeless, sad, depressed, maybe anxious, and you have every right to feel that way.
Sure.
But I think we need to remember that God is ultimately the one that's in control, and that thankfully through him we do have hope, that we know how the story's going to end. I think if anything, this tells us that we need to show all the love we can to people, show patience, show compassion, empathy to people, and also share Way FM, you know? But I mean, you laugh, but it's true, because there's some people that you're not going to be able to reach. There are people that are not going to even think about touching the doors of a church, but they would consider listening to a radio station. And you just don't know how that can change someone's heart for the better. So share it, because God can use anything. Yeah. And I think it's so important for us as Christians to support what we believe, but also get the word out there. I mean, it's an easy way to share your faith is simply by playing Christian music.
Yeah. I don't feel like doing birthdays today if there are any.
There aren't any.
Oh, okay, that's good, because I'm like, hey, that would be the ultimate.
Let me see how you're going to segue into that.
Yeah, I can't do that. So, all right, we're going to wrap this up today, and tomorrow, hopefully, things will be a little bit lighter on the Aftercast as well. But I think it's important to talk about these things and have the conversation as well. So there you go. That's going to do it for your Aftercast. And as always, thanks for being a potty.
Growing up in poverty has never been easy for children, but with the added challenges of the pandemic, conflict, and natural disasters, families around the world are facing an unprecedented food crisis. Unfortunately, those who are already hungry are now even more desperate. But by sponsoring a child through compassion, you can help provide life-sustaining essentials such as food and clean water. And with your compassionate support, that child can not only survive, but also flourish. You can find out how and choose a child to sponsor when you click on the Compassion banner at wayfm.com.